Mion laughed.
それだけレナのことを心配してくれるケイちゃんが身近にいるなら、レナは大丈夫だよ。立ち直れるよ。
近くにいるだけでか？うさんくさいな。
圭一にだってできることがありますですよ。
Rika-chan spoke up. I wonder how long she'd been listening to our conversation.
俺にもできることがあるのか？
Or question is, how many times has she heard this conversation? Okay. You know, it's questions like this that you kind of have to ask yourself when it comes to Rika from no one. It's just, like, you cannot help it. It's just... like, I'm gonna keep it low when it comes to that sort of stuff, but... it kind of makes you question, like, how many times has she heard this kind of conversation?
レナが話したいと思った時や、打ち明けたいと思った時に、静かに聞いてあげることなのです。
I mean, you know, it is, as I said, like, at the construction site when the kids hold their hands and cry together and all that. Like, that moment of togetherness may have been something new to Rika, since most of the time that we've seen in these chapters, the kids have acted on their own. The togetherness may be something that gives Rika some hope. Therefore, there may be some new stuff popping in around here that may be new to Rika that maybe she hasn't encountered until now, so we don't know.
聞くだけでいいのか？励まさなくていいのかよ。
ケイちゃん、打ち明けるだけで心が軽くなるもんだよ。静かに耳を傾けるのが何よりも嬉しい時ってある。
ミーの言う通りなのですよ。レナが話したいと思った時、いつでも話しかけられる場所にいてあげるのも、きっと仲間として大切なことなのだと思いますです。
Mion and Rika-chan were absolutely right. I was going to pat Rena on her shoulder and tell her to cheer up when I saw her next, but now I know that would have been one-sided on my part. Rena doesn't want to feel down herself. She wants to cheer up if at all possible. If I cheered her up irresponsibly, she'd be very disappointed, because she'd think that I didn't understand her pain.
そうだな。俺、ちょっと人の心ってやつを理解しようとしてなかったな。レナを励ましたいのは、俺の欲求であって、レナの求めることじゃない。ありがとな、二人とも。俺、ひょっとすると、今日まで何か勘違いをしてたかもしれないぜ。
On that day, I thought I cheered her up, but I started to doubt if I had reached her heart. I might have just been dragging her someplace where I wanted her to go. I wasn't on her side in the real sense of the term. Okay, I get it, but I wouldn't really wanna... I don't feel like you should doubt that specific moment. Just because it is good to just listen and not cheer up, it doesn't necessarily mean that what you did there didn't help whatsoever, in the sense that a moment like that was needed, first and foremost. Like, you have your moment with this person, hey, let's talk about this. And afterwards, you don't have to constantly cheer her. It's just, like, it's a mix and match right over here when it comes to that sort of stuff. Let's say we were to take this advice. What were you gonna do, like, at the construction site? Just listen to Rena and not say anything? Just give her a thumbs up? No, you had to say something there to show her that, hey, we can help you. All of a sudden, Rika-chan patted my head.
圭一は一番のレナの味方ですよ。それは疑わなくて大丈夫なのです。
俺、また考え事を口に出しちまってたのか？
レナの心には届いてるよ。ケイちゃんはあの日、とても強い力をレナに与えたんだからさ。いやー、でもさ、よくよく思い出すとすっごい恥ずかしいこと言ってたよね。
Like a stage play. We heard footsteps on the hallway. Everybody started to head back to their desks.
お待たせしました。それでは委員長、号令起立。
Alright. We didn't have a club meeting that day because Rena wasn't around. That worked out for me, because I had an errand to run. It wasn't a big errand. Like, my mom wanted me to use her point card to get some detergent. I didn't see the point of going all the way to the store just to get detergent. But my mom told me to go because she's busy helping my dad with his work. I started walking towards the shopping center. I noticed someone was watching me, hiding behind a distant tree. I wonder who would do such mischievous thing. I stared at them to find out who it was, at which point they emerged.
お、レナじゃねえか。
Rena? Are you feeling better now? I was about to say that, but I swallowed the words. Somehow, Rena looked very serious.
どうしたんだ？
Rena put her index finger to her lips, told me to be quiet, looked around carefully, and beckoned for me to come over. What? Like, okay. Like, I would expect Rena, like, next time we meet Rena, she'll be walking normally and she'd be down / serious. But I didn't really expect to find Rena just hiding behind the tree and, like, being all hush-hush. Like, what the fuck is going on? I had no idea what was going on, but I followed her instructions, shut my mouth, and ran to her. Rena gestured for me to squat down to hide in the shadows of the bush. I didn't know why I had to do that, but I could ask her the question later. I just followed her orders for now. Rena looked like she was making sure no one was following her. If it was Mion, she'd do something like this just to fool me, as a joke. But I know Rena doesn't do things like this for fun. Why, is it because of the conspiracy thing? Like, no, now that she has the scrapbooks and Mion died, not Mion, Mio Takano died. Now Rena's gonna think that they are after her, so she's gonna live the rest of her life, like, hiding. I had no idea what kind of situation I got myself into, but I could feel how tense it was, and I made myself as small as I could.
もういいよ。ごめんね。
The tone of her voice made me relax though.
どうしたってんだよ、一体。
多分私、誰かに最近後をつけられているの。
Yeah, like, okay, like it's either they, as in some secret people of a secret organization, some conspiracy going on, or Rena is hearing the footsteps.
なんだって。
Who would follow her? When I thought about it, I realized how stupid the question was.
まさか、警察かよ。
I mean, now that I'm mentioning this, Rena has been quite stressed for quite a while, over a year, ever since the divorce and all that. And we've heard her struggling and, like, we literally had, like, a medical report from the clinic in a tip, and her talking about maggots, but not one time did I hear her talking about footsteps. Like, that is another symptom of the infection that I'm thinking of, so, like, we haven't heard of that. We've heard her talking about how she met Oyashiro. We've heard her talking about the maggots inside her veins, but not the footsteps, at least not yet. Maybe she had heard footsteps before, it's just that she didn't really mention that. Rena Mamiya and Teppei Hojo. 2 people disappeared. Even though they were awful human beings, the police had to investigate if they found out they'd gone missing. Wait, do they not know that Takano and Tomitake died as well? At least not yet, I guess. Only Rena knows right now. It probably wouldn't be difficult to find out that Rena had often been to Rena's house. But it should be okay. As long as they don't find those bags, it should be okay.
警察なのか、警察じゃないのかわからないけれど、綿流しの夜以降、 誰かにずっと見られている気がするの。
Okay, can you describe us a little bit more? Who you think it is?
どういうことだよ。
Once I asked the question, Rena stared directly at me with a blank expression. Her eyes looked as though they were evaluating me. She stared at me as she was assessing what I was worth talking to about, something very important. Rena squeezed her own wrist tightly, and then started talking on a whisper.
話してもいいけど、誰にも内緒にできる？
Alright.
ああ、もちろんだぜ。レナがそうしろってんなら、誰にも喋らない。
圭一くんなら信用できるよ。
She smiled and looked around one more time.
連中はひょっとすると、ミオさんのスクラップ帳を探しているのかもしれないの。
ミオさんああ、看護師の高野さんのことか。あと、スクラップ帳って何のことだ？
秘密の捜査になっているって言ってたから、多分、圭一くんは知らないよね。高野ミオさん、殺されたんだって。
いつ？
She told me to be quiet again. I lowered my voice and let her continue.
綿流しの夜、私たちはミオさんと、あと、富武さんに会ったよね。
Okay, so we are talking about people who might be going after Takano and the scrapbook and all that. Although it could be a mix of them. It could be that Rena is thinking that, oh, it's like there are some people in the shadows that are looking after Takano and have killed her and are looking after the scrapbooks, and now Rena is in danger. But in the mix of that, Rena is hearing these footsteps that makes her think that it's those secret people. But it's part of the infection too.
あの直後に、二人が襲われたんだって。富武さんは、Oyashiro-samaのたたりにあって、喉をかきむしって死んだ。ミオさんは、岐阜の山中で焼き殺されていたと言ってたの。
Sheesh. You know, a little bit of a side note right over here. We didn't even get to hear like Tomitake's voice like at all in this. No VA whatsoever. he just came in and went, just like that. At least with the Takano, we had like one moment at the library after her, like, well, okay. Like, Rena and Takano had their moment like at the library before her death, so at least there's that. And a little bit of a new thing when it comes to Takano, which is her sweet side, like calming Rena when she was having like a mental breakdown there, like a nurse and all that. That's something that we don't see often from Takano. But besides that, nothing new from Tomitake.
それ、本当かよ。そんなの誰も知らないぞ。
それは、警察が伏せて捜査をしてるからなの。Hinamizawa村連続開始事件は、今年で5年目になっちゃうでしょ。だから、変に騒がれたくないんで、事件を公にしていないんだって。
なるほど。秘密捜査なのは分かったが、レナはそんな話、どこで聞いたんだよ。
内緒だよ。私、実は、大石っていう沖宮署の刑事さんと連絡を取り合っているの。その人に教えてもらった。
どうして、大石って人がレナに？
さあ、ちょっとそこはわからない。彼が言うには、私なら信用できそうだからって言うんだけどね。
I was dumbfounded to hear all this. But I knew she wasn't lying. If it was Mion, she'd be sticking her tongue out by now. But Rena wouldn't make a joke about something like this.
ミオさんが殺された理由は、多分、彼女の研究のせいだと思うの。ミオさんが、この村の歴史とか、民族学とか、そういうのを熱心に調べてたってのは知っている？
なんとなくは聞いたことある。
Takano-san was interested in the occult, in mysterious things. I remember Mion once told me that she was studying the village's legends of man-eating demons out of curiosity.
彼女は多分その研究の中でこの村に関するある重要な秘密を知ってしまったの。あるいは彼女はそんなにも確信には踏み入ってなかったのかもしれないけど、そうは思われなかったんだろうね。
ちょっと待て。この村の秘密ってなんだよ。
私はミオさんのスクラップ帳をほんの数冊借りて読んだだけ。でも彼女が特に大事にしていた秘蔵の数冊だから、かなり重要なことが記してあったと思う。だから多分ミオさんが至ろうとしていたことに8割方ぐらいは近づいていると思うの。でもあまりに突拍子もなくて、私にはまだ信じられない。ミオさんの想像が正しいかどうか検証してる段階なの。
Actually, you know what? I'm gonna add this. Now, I'm still gonna believe that these footsteps are like a symptom of the infection. That and there's that whole talk about Oyashiro the child, like both in a spiritual and realistic fugitive kind of way, in the sense that there is literally Oyashiro the child, the spirit that is following, like everybody who has this infection, and you hear her her footsteps, and I don't know, there's the realistic sense that the child is like walking around, like spying on people for reasons that we don't know of. But there is this one extra option that I have not thought of, because I do think that Mio Takano faked her, like, I did say that Takano may have faked her death. So what would that mean? That would mean that Takano is still out there. And what would be a thing that she would do? She would be following people around. For example, in this case, since Rena has the scrapbooks, Takano may be in the shadows, just looking after Rena to see how things are gonna develop from there. So,
で、何なんだ一体。秘密を知ると殺されるっていう、この村の秘密ってのは。
I guessed the moment those words left my mouth. If Rena told me, I might get killed too.
圭一君にはまだ全部話したくない。確証が持てたら話すね。だってそれくらいに途方もない、とんでもない話だから。
確証ってなんだよ。
例えば予備知識のない内訳については、私自らはその存在を検証できているけど、他にもたくさん未検証のことがあるの。それらを埋めていかないと、私ですらにわかには信じられない。
Maggots? I was totally lost now, and I wanted to ask her some questions, but I decided not to cut in. It was so hot outside. But Rena held her arms as if she was cold.
レナ、俺はいつだってお前の味方なんだからな。俺だけは信用してくれて構わない。
ありがとう。その一言がすごい嬉しい。
From her expression alone, I could tell that she really meant it. I could also tell that she was involved in something very big, and that she felt lonely because she couldn't tell anybody else about it. I had to be on her side while she was going through a difficult time.
私とね、今日ここで出会ったことは内緒にした方がいいと思うの。私と接触があったことが知られたら、圭一君にも危害が及ぶかもしれないから。
わかった。俺に何か協力できることはないのかよ。
今はない。でも協力をお願いできることが分かっただけで、今の私には心強いよ。最後には頼らせてね。
おう、任せとけ。
し、車が来る。
Rena pushed my head into the bush. I went along with it and crouched down even lower in the bushes. We stayed quiet for a while. I could hear a car coming closer. After a while, a white van passed by. The white van! I was surprised at her hearing. She heard the car coming when it was still far off in the distance. Oh. Okay, Rena. You know what this means? We are conspiracy buddies. There truly could be a conspiracy going on over here. Those men in suits driving white vans around.
今の車、ナンバー見えた？
いや、ごめん。見えなかった。
私もちょっと見えなかったけど、多分さっきと同じナンバーの車だと思うの。
その、レナを尾行しているとかいう連中か？
多分。普段車なんか通らない道で、今日は何度も追い上げられるの。その度に、私は隠れてやり過ごしているからいいんだけど、どうも。
そいつらなのか？高野さんたちを殺して、レナが持ってるスクラップ帳を狙っているという連中は。
It could very well be possible, yeah. Takano and Tomitake were very suspicious even in the first chapter, and they did talk to Keiichi in the first chapter. Takano never gave Keiichi like scrapbook, the same way Takano gave to Shion and Rena. So, even then, the secret entity like out there would be following Keiichi in similar fashion to right here with Rena, whether Keiichi had the scrapbook or not. Keiichi was being looked at by the secret entity because he basically talked with Takano and is closely connected to Takano's death in their eyes in chapter 1. In this chapter, Rena is closely related to Takano's quote-unquote death, because they more than likely have noticed that Takano has talked with Rena. So they think, okay, Takano surely must have done something with this girl. And an extra detail would be that the scrapbook may be important, so the secret entity is trying to take the scrapbook from Takano, except they couldn't find the scrapbook when Takano faked her death. So they're trying to get it from Rena right here. Now, when it comes to Shion, Takano actually gave Shion the scrapbook like 1 year early. So I guess in that sense, it makes sense that we wouldn't notice like this white van, like some people coming after Shion, because it happened like 1 year prior to Takano's death. So they wouldn't know that Shion was involved in doing research in similar fashion to Rena right over here. So I guess that is one key difference. Like, if Rena was given the scrapbook by Takano like 1 year earlier, we wouldn't be having like a white van following Rena. But since it happened so close to Takano's fake death, now she's being followed. It's quite something.
多分。
I don't blame her for not being able to believe what's going on, because this is really crazy. Takano-san uncovered something really significant for her studies. The people who wanted information hadn't found out about it, and they killed her on the night of Watanagashi, copying the curse of Oyashiro-sama. They were looking for the scrapbooks, the fruits of her research, and Rena has them. That's why they're trying to kill Rena?
じゃあ、レナの家が危ないってことはないのか？
大丈夫。スクラップ帳はゴミ山の私の隠れ家に隠してある。お父さんが不安だけど、何も知らないからこそ何も危害が及ばないかもしれない。圭一くんが言わなくても顔に書いてあるよ。突拍子もない話でとても信じられない。でしょ？
I wanted to deny it, but I felt bad to lie. I remained silent in the affirmative.
それが当然の反応。私だってミオさんのスクラップ帳を読み始めた最初は
なんだこりゃって思って全然信じられなかったもの。すべてに目を通してようやく何かの筋が見えてきたんだもん。
すまん。もちろんレナの味方になりたいのは本心だ。でも話が全然見えないんで、どう助けてやればいいかわかんないんだ。
話せば圭一君の身にも危険が降りかかるよ。
No, please tell us. Tell us.
レナにはすでに降りかかってるんだろ。ならおあいこだぜ。気にするな。
わかった。話す。多分ミオさんたちを殺したのはHinamizawa御三家。
Okay, I don't want to hear about that. So, never mind. I don't think I want to hear about it.
もっとはっきり言ってしまえば、みーちゃんの家である園崎本家。
God damn it.
どうして？
圭一君も過去の連続開始事件は知ってるよね。
ああ、ダム戦争の時の村の旧敵ばかりが毎年犠牲になっていくっていうあれだろ。
この連続開始事件はダム戦争の清算のようなものなの。村の裏切り者を片付けることによって本当の意味でダム戦争を終わらせようとする。
確かにそう見えないことはないよな。誰もがはっきりと口にはしないが、うすうすと園崎家の仕業だと疑ってるみたいな話は聞いたことあるぜ。
でも裏切り者を制裁するなら別に綿流しの場にこだわらなくてもいいんじゃない？毎年たたりで一人、鬼隠しで一人なんてスローペースで殺す必要はない。そうでしょ？
I never heard the words demon away before, but Rena clearly thought they have some kind of creepy, significant meaning. So I decided not to cut in.
つまりこれらの連続開始事件は綿流しの祭りに神聖性を取り戻そうとする意志があるの。もっと踏み込んで言うと、明治以降に失われた鬼ヶ淵村の神聖性を取り戻すための段階的イベント。彼らは最終的には太古の昔にそうだったような原理的なお社様信仰を復活させることを目的としている。
お社様信仰？古出神社のことか？
そう。古出神社って崇められていると思う？お年寄りの人は敬っているけど、それだけだよね。子供たちは境内を遊び場くらいにしか思ってないし、ほとんどの村人たちも地域の集会所くらいにしか思っていない。その神聖性は失われている。それがダム戦争をきっかけに蘇ったの。彼らはそれをお社様信仰を復活させるいい機会だと捉えた。
ってことはつまりお社様信仰の狂信者たちが裏で暗躍しているってことか？
そういうこと。そもそもお社様信仰は御三家によって管理されていた。だから御三家には現代にも脈々とお社様信仰を復活させなければならないという至上目的が受け継がれているの。それを思えば御三家がダム戦争中に村を一丸にまとめたり、廃れかけていたお社様を引き合いに出し、古出神社にわざわざ同盟事務所を設けた理由も透けて見えてくる。
じゃあHinamizawa村連続開始事件ってのは、いや、お社様を信仰する狂信的な集団の仕業なら待てよ。どうして高野さんが殺されなきゃならないんだ？
それは御三家が鬼ヶ淵村と呼ばれた太古からずっと隠してきたこの村のある重大な秘密に関係があるの。それを暴かれるとお社様という神の神聖性が失われる。だから彼らはミオさんの研究が確信に近づいたことを知り消したの。
その重大な秘密ってのは何なんだ？それを知ると俺も狙われるってんだろうけど、上等だぜ。
だからそれはまだ言いたくない。私自身が10割の確証を得るまで言いたくない。多分今ここで話しても圭一君は耐えきれなくなって笑い出してしまうに違いないもの。
おいおい、俺がそんな奴に見えるかよ。
もう少し時間が欲しいの。あまりの事実に
私ですら受け入れきれていないの。だからもう少し時間を欲しいの。お願い。
Sorry, apparently I fell asleep there for a second. I've heard like the Sonozaki's being blamed for murders and such like so many times. It's like a bedtime story for me at this point. I don't want to hear about that sort of stuff.
わかった。
Like I'm not interested in stories of Sonozaki's being involved in it. I'm more interested in other areas.
今日ここで話したことは誰にも喋っちゃダメだよ。みーちゃんとリカちゃん。もちろん、さとこちゃんにもダメ。
わかったよ。
じゃあ、ケイチ君はもう行って。私はもう少し、あたりを伺ってから行く。用心に過ぎるということはないからね。
Rena ducked low in the bushes and moved away. I was left alone there. The cries, the cicadas surrounded around me, making it seem as if I was alone there the whole time. Maybe Rena was never there to begin with. I started walking, still dumbfounded. In the end, Rena didn't tell the secret because she was afraid of putting me in danger. But she told me clearly that there are people who want to resurrect the cult of Oyashiro-sama, and that they are among the 3 families that control the entire village. They orchestrated the series of mysterious deaths for that purpose. And they killed Takano-san because she got too close to a secret they wanted to hide. Rena met Takano-san and happened to obtain the scrapbooks in which Takano-san wrote about her research. Rena still can't believe the secret written in the scrapbooks because it's just too crazy. Hey, come on, Rena. You're kidding me, right? It's like one of those comic book stories. Mysterious occult group is plotting a conspiracy? I mean, it's not funny even if it's a joke. But Rena is right about one thing. Even if this is true, it's really hard to believe. I understand why Rena wanted to wait to tell me the secret. Maybe she was just fooled by Takano-san. But Takano-san was murdered for real. So is it also true that someone is following Rena, looking for the scrapbooks? I remember Rena said that a white van was following her. You can see white vans anywhere. I bet there are a lot in this village alone. She might just be oversensitive to everything right now. No, hold on a second. I am very suspicious of white vans, and Rena hasn't recovered from the shock since that day. That's probably why she got the idea into her head that the police or someone else is coming after her. I didn't cut in while she was talking. I think I did the right thing. If I had said that it was ridiculous or something to her face, Rena wouldn't have trusted me ever again. At that point, however, I gasped. A white van was parked on the side of the street. I wasn't sure if this was the same car that passed by earlier, since I didn't see the plate number. But the number of people in the car and the ambience of it was similar to one earlier. And there was one thing that looked suspicious about it. Okay, there are several people in it. There was no reason to park here. It was on a small road in the middle of the woods. There's nothing around here. No traffic lights, no vending machines, and no public phones. Probably wouldn't notice it under ordinary circumstances, but I felt something was wrong. And once I noticed how odd it was definitely suspicious. There were 4 men in work uniforms in a white van. The driver was smoking a cigarette, but the other men were just sitting there doing nothing. If they wanted to take a break or have a smoke, they could have chosen a better place than here. It was possible that they stopped because they had to go to the bathroom really badly, but it didn't seem that way either. They didn't look as comfortable or relaxed like they would if they were taking a break. They looked like they were waiting for something to happen. There was deep tension in the car. Could they possibly be waiting for Rena? No way. I didn't see anybody walking around here. This road is a black road. Nobody really uses this road, let alone by a car. But it's impossible. I felt bad for Rena to even think about it, but this must be something that she got into her head. Because she's feeling victimized or something. She must be imagining things because she's still nervous from when her friends caught her in the act of killing Rena and Teppei.
兄ちゃん、
Hey. Yes? I heard someone say that when I passed by the van. He couldn't mean me. He didn't even know who I was. So I assumed he was talking to one of the other people in the car. I pretended I didn't hear him. And I kept walking by. And then he said it again. And honked the horn as well.
兄ちゃん、すまんね。学校の帰り会ね。
Keiichi, I think he's talking to you. He had a strong accent similar to that of the other villager. He must live here, but I didn't know him. I could tell he didn't know me either because he didn't call me by name.
はい、そうですけど。
Yes?
兄ちゃん、学校からこの道をずっと歩いてきたんで。ちょうど文房具屋の角を曲がって。
そうですけど、何か？
They were probably lost, I thought. This village has many small turns, and you can easily get lost when you try to take a shortcut. So they must have been waiting for someone to ask for directions. But then he said something disturbing.
兄ちゃんさ、この道の途中で女の子に会わんかったかいね。
Why are you asking that?
白い帽子に白い服を着た女の子なんよ。紫のリボンもついとん。会わんかったかいね。
You are definitely talking about Rena.
いえ、会ってないです。
I wasn't ready to hear them ask that. Rather, I was scared. That's why my voice got all shaky. Up until that point, I couldn't believe Rena's story. I thought it was ridiculous. I actually laughed, if only to myself. That's why I wasn't ready at all. My heart was beating fast, and I was sweating all over. I immediately answered, "No, I didn't." But it might have sounded like an obvious lie. The driver stared into my eyes. He looked like he was trying to figure out if I was lying or not, and my legs started to shake. I felt like a frog under the glare of a snake, and I couldn't move a muscle for a while. But I think the same went for those men too. They were clearly a suspicious group, and they had just asked the villager about a girl out of the blue. Anybody would get suspicious. And I was right. The man broke the ice and started making excuses before I even asked him why he wanted to know about the girl.
ああ、そんな深い意味はないんね。さっき女の子を追い抜いたのによ。来たのが男の子だったから、あんれーと思っただけなんね。
そうですか。
忘れてえな。ごめんな、兄ちゃん。うちら、もう行くんて。
The man started the engine and drove away. After they left, I saw nothing. That's right, nothing. There was no reason why they had to park here. So, were they really waiting for Rena? Oh boy. Another lunch takeout list, okay? Furthermore, it's important that we closely monitor her father, since he also suffered mental shock from the divorce, and had been trying hard to take care of the patient. There's a strong possibility that he may develop an induced delusional disorder. As the first step of mental care, one should listen to the patient's story carefully without denying it. That's the most basic of basics. However, when the patient and the listener are related, it's easy for the listener to become deeply influenced by the patient's delusions. Additionally, delusional parasitosis is widely known to make people highly impressionable, and the influence sometimes can spread throughout a whole community. Therefore, even if several people claim to acquire a parasitic infection, it doesn't necessarily prove the existence of a parasite. Some of the phone calls to the healthcare centers for the extermination of pests are nothing but a mass delusion. Since the subject matter of the delusion in this case is extremely rabid, the patients might harm or even kill each other in abnormal ways, believing this to be the treatment for the disease. They might also give up hope and commit suicide together in the worst case. This influential delusion disorder, otherwise known as shared psychotic disorder, shows a particularly strong possibility of influencing close companions. Anyone who is going to contact the patients must be made to understand that the patients are under medical treatment and must be warned not to be influenced by the patient's delusions. Individuals who are likely to be easily influenced are the patient's family members and people who deeply care about patients, such as boyfriends or girlfriends. Oh, okay, well obviously this is talking about Rena's father and Rena, you know. But this surely reminds me of like previous discussion, like Keiichi, he is easily influenced by what Rena is saying right over here, and understandably so. I mean, there was a white van there, but nonetheless, it's easy for Keiichi to be influenced to the point where even he might end up being like, you know, paranoid like in the previous chapters, and because of that, both Rena and Keiichi might end up being going down some dark paths like we've seen before. So yeah, this surely makes me think of the infection as a whole, like infected people around them too, because we don't even know, like, okay, there's the drug thing which is inserted in your body and all that, and I had theory that maybe it was inserted inside people's bodies as they went to the clinic because of Iri and all that, like the infection that I keep thinking about. But besides that, okay, let's continue.
"すまなかった、レナ。俺はどこかでレナの話を疑ってたよ。本当にすまない。
いいよ、ケイチ君。そのおかげで待ち伏せをやり過ごせたんだしね。
あいつらは何者なんだ。そのお社様信仰を復活させようとする信者の集団の手先。
彼らにはそういう自覚はないと思う。彼らを操っている黒幕はそうなんだと思うけどね。多分ダム戦争の当時から陰で様々な工作をしてきた連中なんだと思う。
ダム戦争の最中に園崎家が裏でいろいろと暗躍したって話は俺も少しは聞いたことがあるな。
有名な話だよね。これは大石さんに聞いたんだけど、ダム戦争の最中に誘拐事件があったんだって。これも秘密の事件なんだけど、なんでも建設大臣の孫を誘拐してダム建設中止の約束を裏取引したんだって。
大臣の孫を誘拐？おいおい、そんなの聞いたことないぞ。
大臣が犯人との取引に応じる姿勢を見せたため、事件を公にしないことになったんだって。大石さんは当時その事件に関わったから知ってるんだって。
それで
大石さんが言うには、孫の誘拐や大臣の脅迫などの手口は恐ろしいほどに高度だったんだって。その事件は園崎家が命令を下したことだけは分かっているけど、結局未解決なんだって。当時園崎家の当主である園崎お涼は武装闘争の方針を打ち出していて、配下である暴力団組織の中に特攻隊を組織したそうなの。ダム計画の撤回がどうしても望めないときは建設省に突入して武力制圧しようなんて、そんな物騒な計画を本気で練っていたらしいの。
Everybody knows that the Sonozaki family had tried to stop the dam project, even if it meant breaking the law. So I wasn't surprised to hear that she had a dangerous plan like that. Actually, I won't be surprised if it was Mion who came up with the idea. The plan sounded just like her.
結局その計画は計画のままで終わったんだけど、それを実行するための特攻隊の訓練というのは行われていて、相当高度なものだったらしいよ。
Oishi had uncovered information right after the then conflict ended. At the time, Oreo even said that if the village was going to be submerged, all members of the Onikafuji Guardians would choose to stay in their houses and drown. So because Oyoro was behind those things, I can just laugh off the idea of an armed assault on the Ministry of Construction. According to information Oishi seized, she planned a suicide mission as a last resort when the then conflict started to heat up, in case their resistance wasn't successful. She had actually obtained weapons and put people through training for the sake of the plan. The Special Attack Corps were flown to America, having received a huge amount of money from Oreo for their operation. In the southern desert of the United States, some retired military soldiers gave them highly professional training. While the plan was never carried out, the Special Attack Corps became a death squad under the direct control of Oreo after they came back from America. They were involved in many unsolved terrorist incidents, and they succeeded in kidnapping the grandson of the minister as well.
嘘みたいな話だな。
Yeah, tell me about it.
みーちゃんがよくヘリの操縦から無線機まで何でもできるみたいなことを言うでしょ。あれは本当。みーちゃんも当時その訓練に参加してるらしいよ。
じゃああいつ本当に。
まあみーちゃんの話はともかく、このひなみ沢には大臣の孫すらも誘拐できるだけの暗殺部隊が存在するってことだけは疑っちゃダメ。
I didn't take a close look at the four men in the white van today. But thinking about it, they did look professional in a way. They were pretending to just be taking a break, but I could tell they were tense the whole time.
それであいつらはレナの命を狙っているのか。
多分狙ってはいないと思う。殺すだけだったら私もう殺されてるよ。
じゃあ狙いはまさかあれか、高野さんのスクラップ帳。
圭一君が見た通り連中は相当警戒心が強いみたいで、隙を見つけない限りは強引な手段に訴えてこないみたいなの。だって強引な連中なら私の自宅の寝込みを襲えばいいんだから。
それをしないってことは結構慎重だってことになるな。
多分私がスクラップ帳を持っているという確信がないからだと思うの。彼らはミオさんを殺し、持っていたスクラップ帳を全て処分しようとした。ところが一番重要な数冊が抜けていた。それで自分が狙われているのを察して誰かに預けたんじゃないかと考えてるんだと思うの。その有力候補が私なんだと思う。でも確証がないから強引な手段に訴えられないんだろうね。
レナ、お前かなりヤバい橋を渡ってるんじゃないのか。
そうだね。ちょっと怖いかな。でもそう簡単には消されないよ。私は大石さんと連携している。有事の際に備えて常に連絡を取り合っているしね。
そうだ、大石さんはどう言ってるんだよ。
大石さんも園崎家が何らかの暗躍をしていないか監視してくれてるよ。
高野さんのスクラップ帳の話はしたのか。
話してない。
警察には話した方がいいだろう。それに警察ならきっと力になってくれるぞ。
圭一君、私は君にだって信じてもらえるか自信がなくて話せないでいるんだよ。大石さんに話したって絶対に信じてもらえるわけがない。
なあレナ、もう煙に巻くのはなしだ。話してくれ。一体何なんだ。
Okay.
何がスクラップ帳に書いてあるんだ。高野さんが消されるほどの何が書いてあるんだ。
簡単に言うと、このスクラップ帳に書いてあることが事実なら、彼らの神が貶められることになるの。
The god they worship will be dethroned.
神を貶める？
そう、お社様の神聖性が失われてしまう。だから、お社様信仰を復活させようとする彼らは、絶対に伏せたいと思っているの。
すまん、レナ。もう少しわかりやすく言ってくれ。つまり、どういうことなんだ？
つまり、お社様は神様じゃないってことなの。
神様じゃない？
I had no idea what she read that made her so certain. But whatever it was, it'd be sacrilegious for people who believe so strongly in Oyashiro-sama. Go on.
お社様の教えっていくつもあるけど、その原点はたったの、それは中から出るな、外から入るなというもの。この大原則を守るために、その他の教義を発展させたと言ってもいいくらい。隣人を愛せとか、家内安全とか、縁結びの神様なんてのは、本当に後から取ってつけたものでしかないの。
In other words, Oyashiro-sama existed solely to stop the villagers from going outside the village. Oyashiro-sama doesn't bless the villagers or protect them from disasters. The people believe that Oyashiro-sama does all that for them. But the truth is that the people abused his name for that purpose, generation after generation, and nothing more than that. Why did Oyashiro-sama descend in the first place? Because demons came out of Onigafuchi's swamp and attacked people.
実は、この時点で解釈が違ってたの。鬼が湧き出して襲ったんじゃない。湧き出したものにやられると、人々を襲う鬼になるの。
湧き出したもの？どういう意味だよ、レナ。
Whatever came out of the swamp possessed people, crawled into their blood, controlled them, and turned them into demons. The parasites. People had no resistance against whatever it was that came out of the swamp. They became demons, attacked the other villagers, and turned them into demons as well. That's right. It was a weird infectious disease that broke out from the swamp. It made the infected people go out of control. Go on. The villagers saw this disaster and explained it like so. Evil demons came out from the bottom of the swamp, possessed people, and turned them into demons as well. That is the truth of the story of the demons that came out of Onigafuchi's swamp.
確かに、それだと伝説をうまく説明できるな。じゃあ、お社様ってのは、ひょっとして、異国から来た医者？
そうだね。正確には正しくないけど、そう、医者と呼べる存在。それが降臨して、伝染病を治療したの。でも、それは治療ではなく、対処療法でしかなかった。
All his treatment could do was reduce the symptoms of the infection. Villagers could have their symptoms suppressed, but there was no way to kill the parasites that had infested them. After a while, the village was divided into two groups. One group was made of the people who were already infected, and the other consisted of the people who weren't. Without a cure for the disease, the infected looked down on the people who could only suppress their violent symptoms. They even talked about drowning them in the swamp. But they knew killing the infected people wouldn't solve the problem. The parasites came out of their water sources, including Onigafuchi's swamp. They couldn't fill them all in, for if they did that, they would lose their access to drinking water. They could have chosen to leave the village, but that was hard for them, for that was the location of their ancestors' graves. Under the power of Oyashiro-sama, infected people could live without showing symptoms. So, both those who were infected and those who weren't decided to live together equally, and to coexist with the parasite. Oyashiro-sama was impressed by the villagers' decision. He decided to stay there and continue to treat them.
それが、お社様がこの地にとどまり、人と鬼の生活を見守ったの真相か。
Huh. Okay. That is surely an interesting origin theory. Something that resonates with my theory of the infection like 100%, actually. So, the source of the infection could very well be Onigafuchi Swamp. That would be where the parasites came from that have infected people for generations. The funny image that comes out of this, though, is that Oyashiro could very well have been like a doctor slash, at the time would be considered like a healing priest or something like that. I guess in that sense, you could think of Irie as the new Oyashiro. Quite an interesting imagery that I have not thought of till now.
そしてお社様は感染者である村人たちに症状を出さないために掟を作った。その最大にして唯一のものが村から出てはいけない、外から人を入れてはいけないだったの。
Yeah, now that you mention it, it really does make sense, these kinds of rules, in the context of infection and all that. Hinamizawa, like, even from the early primitive times of Onigafuchi village, it was considered like a contamination zone. No one leaves, no one enters. We don't want people of the outside world to be infected, nor do we want the outside world to come in here and be infected, to make things worse.
外から人を入れてはいけないってのはわかるぜ。感染者を増やさないためだろう。でも出てはいけないってのはどういう意味なんだ？
寄生虫たちは気候や風土の関係でこのHinamizawaの地でしか生きられないらしいの。だから宿主である感染者がこの地を離れようとすると強い症状を出してそれを妨害するの。その妨害こそがいわゆるお社様のたたりの正体。
The strongest symptoms of the infectious disease were violence and delirium. The infected people acted just like demons, and the impact of seeing them in the throes of the disease was strong enough to make others describe them as such. They couldn't even let people leave who had just come to the village. If they had left after being infected, they might go crazy in a faraway land, turning into vicious demons and cause a disaster. Infected people were never allowed to leave. When an infected person left the village, they brought him back by any means necessary. That was what it really meant to be demoned away.
ちょっと待てよレナ。だとしたら俺やレナも村人はみんなその病気に感染してることになるよな。でも俺たちはHinamizawaを離れたって別に何の問題もないぞ。実際村人にも結婚したりして遠方に住んでる人も少なくないらしいじゃないか。Hinamizawaをちょっと離れたからって錯乱して鬼と化したなんて聞いたことないぞ。
そう、それはまさにお社様の目論見通りにことが進んだからなんだよ。意味がわかるかな。この村を長い間封印してきたのは寄生虫の害を弱めるためなの。
Hosts are very important for parasites. If something happens to the host, the parasites that live in the host have to share the same fate. In other words, if the host went crazy and attacked people, the host would be captured and killed. Which means that the parasites would die with the host too.
そうか。自然淘汰か。
さすが圭一君。そう。この地で長く生活を重ね、厳しい戒律で生活を続けた結果、寄生虫に対し過敏な人間は錯乱して結局殺された。また感染者を錯乱させてしまうような強すぎる寄生虫はこれもまた錯乱した宿主と共に殺された。その結果寄生虫と人間は互いに相性がいい種だけが残っていった。これこそがお社様の伝説が伝える鬼と人の血は混じり合ったことの真相。
じゃあつまり その寄生虫はほとんど無害なわけなのか？
ミオさんのスクラップ帳によると、そういった無害な寄生虫に感染しているケースというのはかなり多いんだって。食文化にもよるけど、例えば生肉を食べる国では国民の8割くらいが感染している例もあるんだって。
Well, that may be true. Except, like, if we were to go with this line of thinking, it does make me think that the parasites, initially being harmless over time because of Oyashiro's strict rules of not leaving anybody, like, not having anybody leave the village or anybody have come from, like, to come to the village, because of the strict rules that Oyashiro in the past had put, the parasites have become weakened. But I do believe that, like, under certain conditions like stress, they could become strong again. I mean, that's why you were having, like, symptoms like outside of Hinamizawa, because of the divorce and all that, they made you stressed. And let's not forget, like, the instance of past chapters. I don't know.
でも矯正できてて人体に全く無害だから誰も治療しない。だから撲滅もされない。
なるほどな。
太古の綿流しはね、実は腹綿流しと書く物騒なものでね、錯乱した犠牲者の臓腑を食らうものだったの。
Ew.
でもこれも必要なことだった。
感染して犠牲になった人を食らう。まさかワクチンとか？
圭一君はやっぱり頭がいいね。ミオさんもそう読み解いてる。伝説では犠牲者を生きたまま解体して食らったなんて物騒なことになっているけど、実際はそんな野蛮なものじゃなくて、もっともっと医学的に取り扱われていたらしいの。強すぎる寄生虫のせいで死んだ犠牲者からワクチンを作り出し、同時に村人の抵抗力も高めていった。
お社様ってのは何者なんだよ一体。医学先進国っていうとドイツか？正体はひょっとしてナンパして流れ着いた外国人医師？
多分圭一君の答えが一番一般的だと思う。ドイツ人ではないんだけど、とりあえず医者的な存在であったのは正解。
古代の伝説の秘密が明かされていくってのはなんだか面白いな。
I don't think the Rena story is too crazy to be true anymore. Still sounds crazy, of course, but never heard any theories that explain the legend of this village better than this one. I mean, it surely resonates with what I've been thinking thus far, so I am taking all I'm getting out of this.
多分俺も感染してるんだよな。なんだか体中が痒くなってくるぜ。
人間だって一つの宇宙だよ。体の中には無数の細菌たちが住んでいる。その中には私たちの生活には欠かせない有用な細菌たちも少なくないんだよ。
I mean, true enough. Like, going back to, like, the topic of guts and all that, we have bacteria in our guts. And those bacteria are very important in digesting fiber, because we humans alone, we don't have the necessary, like, power to, like, convert fiber inside. But the bacteria inside the guts have that specific role. Apple peels or orange peels, they have a lot of fiber inside of them. We humans, we don't really eat that fiber. Like, I mean, our bodies, without those bacteria, our bodies wouldn't be able to process that fiber that will be essential for synthesizing vitamins and such. Our guts are very important in that aspect of converting fiber.
ああ、よくヨーグルトとかの CM で言ってるよな。確かにそうだ。
これもミオさんの受け売りだけど、例えばシロアリっているでしょ？木材を食い荒らしてしまうアリ。 実はシロアリって木材を消化できないんだって。体内に寄生している特殊な細菌が食べた木材の繊維を分解してくれて、その結果シロアリは木材を吸収できるんだって。
See? Fiber.
これも寄生虫と共生している一例だね。
I didn't know that. When I hear the word parasites, I feel creeped out almost instinctively. But now I know some of them aren't so bad to us.
だから太古の昔に鬼ヶ淵村から突如発生した奇怪な伝染病は今ではほぼ根絶されたと言っていい。根絶じゃないね。無害になったと言うべきだね。
最初はとんでもない話だと思ってたけどさ、こうして種明かしがされるとなんだかサイエンスな感じがしてちょっと面白い話だよな。
私たちには面白いよ。でもお社様を神として崇める人たちにとってはこれはとても不愉快な説。
Of course, if Takano-san's theory is correct, Oyashiro-sama isn't a god. And the punishment by that god, namely the curse of Oyashiro-sama, that people have been so afraid of, will turn out to have just been the symptoms of an infectious disease. I see. That's what defrauding God would mean.
だとすると、もしこの伝染病の病原体を特定して世間に発表されるようなことがあれば、信仰は破綻しちまうな。
そう。それこそが彼らの一番恐れることなの。そしてミオさんはその病原体を特定しようとしていたらしい。そのミオさんが消されたということは。
特定できたってことが。
かもしれないね。ミオさんはもういないし、彼女のスクラップ帳にも特定できたとは書かれていない。でも、消されるに値する理由が他に思いつかないの。
でもよ、20世紀ももうすぐ終わろうっていう現代だぜ。村人だっていろんな医療機関で検査を受けてきたはずだ。なのにそういう怪しげな寄生虫が摘出されたって話はないんだろ
う。うん。確かに病原体そのものは未だ発見されていない。
Or if they did, they are keeping it hush hush.
でも、確かに何かの規制を受けていることの信号だけは確認されているんだって。
なんだって？本当かよ。
When a parasite enters a human body, that body's immune system cells, eosinophils and macrophages, try to kill the parasite. I don't know if I said those right. They secrete an antibody called immunoglobulin E, LGE. I feel like that was a joke in one of the Zero Escape adventures, where one of the character was saying it like immunogoblin, but no, it's immunoglobulin. The most common way of checking a person is affected by a pathogen is to look at the levels of this secretion. According to Takano-san's research, people from Hinamizawa have a very high level of LGE in their blood. That's not all. They also have obvious symptoms of being infected by parasites. They don't have any allergies. LGE, that's not L, it's I from immunoglobulin. So IgE stimulates mast cells, and they secrete histamines and serotonin as a result. And these cause an allergic reaction. That allergic reaction isn't pleasant for humans, but it's necessary for the body to kill the pathogen. But the parasites don't want to be killed, of course, so they secrete substances that counteract IgE.